or the survey that we know when you want to like cut a plot of shamba or a plot of land, for example, they normally take some measurements. So these measurements, and that is what I'm referring to as what we traditionally known as a survey. Now it brings in technology. It brings in this data needs to be analyzed, and it also needs to be quality, like performing a quality checks, synonymous to what we call test-driven development in coding. But now this is in the survey, and then you take that data and now put it in a map or present it in the form of maps, statistics, graphs. For example, I would maybe to use an example is like the maps we've been seeing of the recent flooding situation. So that is an example of a GIS. So the output of a GIS is a map. It could be a digital map or a paper map, like the ones we normally get from the Survey of Kenya, for example. Yeah. I don't know if that maybe summarizes what the process of GIS is.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Joseph. It's just nice. Seems interesting to learn.
You're welcome.
And
maybe sorry, before I forget, there's something. There's a library of Django called there's a library of Django called Django. There's a library of Django called Django. So Django primarily deals with GIS. So yeah, and I have some content as well on that. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joseph. Yeah, so now that we have introduced ourselves, actually not everyone. Jimmy, say hi, Helen, and then we can introduce the session so we can get started. Jimmy? Okay, so he can say hi later. Helen?
Hi, sorry guys. Hi guys. I actually turned on my camera so that Washuka can see me. So here I am, Washuka.
Thank you so much. Wow. I wish you did not.
Anyway, it's fine. So welcome to this week's session. I think Joseph has introduced himself, so he'll be taking us through Django signals. So as the post has been saying, I just wish we make it as engaging as possible. So Jkaris, it's at Django Labs. The reason why we call it labs is because when you get stuck, we have an how do you call a battalion of guys who are ready to jump in and help. So that's why we call it Django Labs. You'll get to see as the session proceeds, you'll get to see how interactive this session can get. So Helen, let me turn off my camera.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Guys, I'm Helen. Thank you for joining the session. I'm really looking forward to learn from Joseph. Roslyn.
All right. So tonight we're gonna dive into Django signals. So yeah, Joseph, I think you can just take it over and introduce the topic, and we can get started.
Okay. I've seen somebody has raised their hands.
Yeah. Yes, Samuel, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I can begin.
Okay. Yeah, or maybe he's having trouble. He's unmuted, but we can't hear him.
Okay, it's okay. So I had created a few slides. I don't know if it's. I mean, this is my first session as well as a presenter, so I don't know if it's okay if I can take you through like 4 slides and then I can get into the coding bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Joseph. As in here, you can just, if you want to sing a song and we'll understand from the song, you can do basically what
Okay.
we want. We are just here to learn and listen.
Great. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
Samuel has
yeah,
raised
yeah,
his
yeah.
hand again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I had a small question for Joseph. You've stated that you deal with JS, right?
Yes.
I wanted to ask, did you actually start as someone who, okay, did you start as a geospatial engineer, or did you start with computer science?
I started with geography and then geospatial engineering.
Okay.
And then computer science, yes.
Okay. So thanks.
Okay, welcome. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Thank you. I've forgotten how to start. Where is it? Full screen.
It's on the side. It's written slideshow. Yeah, far right, second right. Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we will be looking at signals in Django, and thank you. I really appreciate for Spacia Tech for hosting me as a presenter. And we have the content outline. So I'm just keeping it simple and clear. So we'll be looking at Django signals. What are Django signals? So just give me a minute. So we have, if you think about the way our mobile phones work, the way, from the way when you're making a call, your mobile emits a signal that communicates with the nearest a communication mast or the tower, and then it gives some feedback or communicates with probably the main telecommunication company, or I won't call it an internet service provider. I'm using the context of a mobile phone. When you're making a call or you have dialed some *144# USSD or something of the sort. So the key components in a signal, in the Django signal, we have the signal, which is an instance of the signal class. So there's a class called signal, and we're going to see that, which you're going to import somewhere. And it contains a message dispatcher. So, and then the other component is a receiver. So the receiver in this context, you may think of it as the mast. When you're calling somebody, when you're sending an SMS, for example. So this is a function in Django that listens to the signal. So it just kind of waits, to get, it's like that high mast tower when you're making a call that gets there, waits to listen to that signal. And then we have what you call the act of sending. So that signal, that when it is being transmitted from, let's say, your mobile phone or your smartphone to that tower, that act of sending or dispatching, this is what you're calling dispatching, is now the third component. So we have the signal, the receiver, and the act of sending or dispatching a signal. And there's something else. So the Django signal, signals in Django have been borrowed from, there's a library called PUI dispatcher. So this PUI dispatcher, I think you can find it in the Python puypi.org, or what they normally call the cheese shop. I think I'll probably show that maybe. Yeah, so these are the key components that we have. And now I like I usually like giving illustrations, like the HIMAST tower. So in this case, as we are going to see, we have, imagine that you have a birthday party, on this first bullet point, and we have the cake. You have invited us for a birthday, somebody's birthday party, or something like a baby shower or whatever, or company showers if they are there. You have created a company, you've invited us. It probably has been listed in the IPO, or it has gone public. So you've invited us for a cake, and then we have, so think of the host, you as the host, or in this case, like Specia Tech has invited us for this meeting. So Specia Tech is like the signal. In the context of the birthday, the host shouts, it's cake time. Probably we were having some drinks, socializing and all that. And then I'm sure you've seen it even in the movies where somebody clicks a glass and maybe they want to give a notification, give an announcement, and something of the sort. So in this case, we have all the kids. So those kids who are there waiting for they're coming for the cake, or they have had, cake time. They are like the receivers. And when they hear this, they come running to the table to get their cake. So this is a context, is the same, is a real life context of how Django signals and their receivers work. Now, we also have the second example, which is like a school bell. I believe, if not all of us, most of us have gone to school. Nowadays we have even homeschooling and all that. But so most of us went to school, and we have the school bell that rings at certain times. So when the bell rings, think of this bell as a signal, and it tells all the students that it is time for something, like lunch, like recess or break time. Back in the days, I don't know if it's still there in the when I was in primary school, we had, I think during the pre-primary, there was some time even for sleeping, I think in the afternoon or something of the sort. So there was a bell, or there was a note, kind of that rings at given times. So think when you're talking about Django signals, these are at least the two contexts, and including the third context that I have talked about, of the mobile phone and the receiver, and the HIMAST tower that receives the signal. Yeah, so this is just on the plain context of keeping it simple and illustrative. Yeah. So in Django, we have, and we're going to see this, we have what you call the pre-save and post-save. Just as the prefix illustrates, the pre-save is sent before the model has been saved, if you're familiar with Django models. And then we have post-save, which is now done after the model has been saved. And then we have pre-delete and post-delete. These synonymous or similar to the previous. Pre-save and post-save is sent before and after of deleting the model's method. And then we have this one, which is now a bit advanced. When it's sent to a many-to-many field when something changes. Yeah. And then we have when a request, let's say you are sending some HTTP requests, or which gives a response. So when it starts, if it's a GET request, then it's going to be the request started signal is going to be triggered. And after it has finished, then the request finished will be triggered. And then we also have user logged in, user logged out, and even user logged in fail. So these are built-in signals that come in Django, and they can as well be referred to from the Django Django documentation as well. So so signals are event-driven. So we have talked about events like calling of children to have the cake, the HIMAST receiving a notification when you want to make a call or write a message to somebody, maybe via SMS. So because they are event-driven, then this means that, why are we using these signals? Or why are we talking about them? So first of all, if you have been using Django for quite some time, you'll notice that there's a tendency of maybe us as developers, kind of tightly coupling different parts of the application. For example, if let's say I'm creating a blog, the usual use case of Django, a blog application, I may need to separate the functionality of, let's say, users or accounts that deals with user registration, profile creation, and creation of the blog posts, for example. So you see, these are two different concerns from an architectural point of view, or from a design point of view. So maybe in most of us, even myself, when I was getting started in Django, I used to just create one app that does everything, an app that authenticates users, writes blog posts, publishes something, all these things in one in one context or in one application, which is so now let's say, for example, you find yourself there, or you are in a project where we are doing such, maybe that is the architecture that has been adopted. Let's say probably it's an old project that somebody else was writing. So in this case, you need to keep these different parts. For example, I've talked about let me just go back, pre-save and post-save. So if you create, for example, a blog post, you need to save it without probably touching the code or dealing with maybe user login and user logout. So this is, for example, in a context where we do not have the separation of concerns. For example, an application that is a blog application but it also deals with, it has authentication and user login and user registration logic. So when it's saved, any number of other components can listen for that signal and perform actions. For example, you may want to set your application in a way that you don't want a user to delete. I should not, for example, as a user in a system, delete a blog post that has been created by another user, because they are the author, they are the creator. Otherwise, so if that's the case, then, for example, I need to have a model that can send that saved signal, even if we are logged in as many users, just like we are now in this meeting, many of us, somebody cannot just delete whatever somebody else has created unless they have those permissions. So it's some kind of separation of things, separation of events, or separation of activities, which is also a good design pattern. Now we have extending of functionality. Example, one can automatically send a welcome email when a user registers, and we are going to demonstrate this, and then log in specific events or update maybe search indices, if probably you're using a search function in your Django application. And then we also have real-time updates, whereby it can be integrated with real-time frameworks like Django channels to provide live updates. So there is a concept called WebSockets, and also these Django channels. So these ones can be coupled with, or it can be integrated rather, with Django signals to provide updates in real time. This is now in real time. Yeah, so I think those are the three. I think there was a fourth one, although ran out of my mind, but these are the three that I could come up with. So I'm just going to do a demo. And for this demo, I'm using, I have a project that is present on GitHub. It's a tutorial project that deals with a blog. It's a blog app, and I'm going to take you through the application briefly, and also as I start showing the use case or the testing of the signal. I don't know if this is in order with the presentation.
It's fine. It's okay.
Okay. So I don't know at this point if there's anyone who has a question. So all that was a bit of a theory and some illustrations. Okay. So I'm opening my project. So actually I have two projects. However, let me start with this one. I'm using Visual Studio Code. I don't know if the VS Code is visible, clearly visible to, sorry, to us, or I can probably increase the font.
Can you all see the screen? Thumbs up, kindly.
Maybe you can just zoom in.
If you can make the font bigger, it's a bit small on my screen. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe somebody could help me. I'm more of a PyCharm user, but in this case, I wanted to.
What is your environment? Is this, let me see. It's Control Plus. Control Plus should do it.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, is it better?
It's better.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I quickly wanted to. Oh yeah, I'm trying to preview the README. So yeah, this is just a simple project that I had created. It's just a Django and a Bootstrap jQuery. I think there's a bit of jQuery in just basically an application that creates for creating blog posts, and I think it also supports user registration. Yeah, so it's on a public repository on GitHub. I don't know if let me just quickly share that with you on the maybe on the chat. My demo website. Copy. Great. Yeah, so I mean, they have shared two links, but we are working on the My Demo website. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. You can go through the documentation. Yeah, it's I had implemented a bunch of stuff still related to Django. I think what the remaining bit was tests, something of the sort. Yeah. So let me just close this. And yeah, something else worth mentioning is, so we have let me just quickly just brush through whatever this project has. I'm running it on a Docker environment. So we have this database script, which primarily uses Postgres. And then we have, of course, the usual media files, where the media files are saved. And then we have now the project website. So the project website is this, my website. And then I mean, it's a bit maybe advanced, but if you look at the repository, you're going to see I have a video tutorial on YouTube on the implementation. That's why I'm just brushing through it quickly. And then we have the settings. I've split the settings. So we have the common settings. We have the local for the local environment, and the production that you can leverage on if you're deploying in a production environment, like some online software as a service. And then, yeah, these are the usual files besides the storage backends. I think this one I was testing it with Amazon AWS for static settings. the S3 bucket. And then we have the URLs, WSGI, those are common in a Django project. And then we have the static and the static files. And then we have these template files. So I have split my templates files into the two applications, which one of them is the account and the other one is website. So I have a users application. I think this is what I've called the account here. And it has, I think we are going to work on this shortly. And then we have the website, which actually we are going to work on the website, which has now the different logic, which I'm gonna take you through right now. So I'm just going to start the project. Sorry for going a bit out of scope, but since I'm using Docker, I have created this makefile that I've never run it on Windows, but in a Linux environment, you can run it. So I'm going to start the project using this make run server, which just runs the Django. Oh, sorry, I'll use dev because I'm running it in my local development environment. Okay, and I seem to have a problem. There's an application that is using port 5432. That's why, as you can see, this is saying port is already allocated. And by the way, if you feel like I've lost you or you have lost me or I've lost you, please feel free to let me know. Oh yeah, I have a secondary project which is running. So let me just kill or stop the project. There's a command that I normally use a lot to check for if my ports are running. It's this SSLTM. I'm using an Ubuntu, my Ubuntu machine. Yeah. So port 5432 has been shut down. It's not running. So I can start my server.
I think we need to block users from being able to present.
Pardon?
That's okay. He was kicked out of the meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay, it has started and it's running on the usual port 8000.
I think you need to represent your screen. We're not seeing anything.
Oh, okay. At what point did the presentation probably go off?
The presentation didn't go off. You were just put on the side. Someone was trying to present. Okay.
Okay. Great. So I've started the services. As you can see, we have these our Django application. So let me just open these. And then I'm gonna open it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is how the application looks like. I think I need to populate let me just place them side by side so that can make things simpler. So I'll populate my database using the manage.py, the migrate command. Then I think I had also created, I had done all these things to make the process faster, because let me see. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Django fixtures, whereby you can create some pre-data or the data that you can use. So in this case, I have populated my database, and it has these, it has the architecture, it has the tables, but now I just wanted to, but we can still do it. We will create a blog post and we can even register users. But let me just show you. If you go to the blog articles, currently it's empty. There are no, I think I can also zoom this. So there are no blog posts. So I'll just populate my database with these values that you're seeing up here. So I have a command called load initial data. Yeah, so it has added 8 objects. So if I refresh my blog post, you can see that now we have these blog posts which were not there before. So let's go now to the process of creating the signals. So all these procedures have run well explained in the project documentation. So I'll just increase the size of this. And if our first step will be now what do you want to achieve? So my first test, or my first use case is I want to create a signal which, okay, for now I can do a simple print function that it will print on the logs. We are going to see that it's going to print, which can also be translated maybe into an email. I think I have implemented an email mechanism here that prints an email, but just for starters, I think we'll just print the notification in the console or in the logs. So the first step will be, now let's go to, if we go to our website application, we will create the signals.py file. And why are we doing this? It's good to separate. If you look, you're going to see the code for the signal. You can, ideally you can put it, I won't say anywhere, but you can even put it in the view function, the view.py, but it is recommended as a best practice to have your signals placed in its own Python file. So in this case, we're just going to name it signals to make the work easier. So I'll create a new file here. I'll call it signals.py. Yeah. And I remember I had talked about the Django dispatcher, the Django signal. So I'm going to share a URL in the chat. If you have time, you can check. So the Django signal, the Django signal has been adopted from, I had mentioned earlier, PY dispatcher, which is a library, a standalone library on its own. You can probably check it out while we create our signal. So the first step will be, from Django .db.models .signals. We're going to import. So we're going to start with the post save. Yeah, as you can see, even the VS Code is auto completing for me. I've not yet subscribed for the AI. I know the AI makes things maybe faster and better. So we have Django.dispatch. Then you're going to, so from this dispatch, you're going to import the receiver. So from Django .dispatch import receiver. And then now we are going to import our models. And sorry, I had not taken you through the model. So this is my model. I have created, okay, I had a model for saving the emails when somebody sends an email through the contact form. And then we have blog category, which is one of the models. So basically this one is the one which you can store your categories of the blog posts. And then we have the blog post itself, which is the kind of, I won't call it entry point, but it is the main kind of a model for this application. So since we know our models, yeah, we have the blog post, blog category, and blog and email message. So in this case, we are going to create a blog post and see if our signal is going to trigger, it's going to transmit or dispatch a notification that a blog post has been created. So having known this, we are going to import the blog post model in the next line. I don't know about you guys, but I have a tendency of confusing the form by writing from models. Import blog post. Oh, and one thing I forgot, the server is actually running. So I have a function that prints the logs interactively. So this simulates like what you could have done with your Django manage.py run server. Yeah, so we have these interactive logs. So I think I believe when I save something, it should work. But in this case, I've not linked my signal to the other parts of the code. So that's why you may not see any changes here. Yeah, so we have what you call the receiver decorator. So this receiver decorator is normally placed on top of the function, the receiving function, or the notification function in this case. So the receiver takes various arguments. So in this case, we have the post save, and then we have the sender. So who is receiving and who is rather not who is receiving, but the type of signal. Sorry, the type of signal and the sender. So in this case, the type of signal, we have imported it up here, and it is called post save. And then we add the second argument, which is the sender. And we have our blog post there. And then now we can write our function. So we have the def. In this case, I can say notify maybe admin, probably admin, when they have a new post. Yes, please.
I hope my eyes are not playing a number on me. I'm seeing you're trying to import receiver and you're trying to import some models, but you're not doing it correctly. Is it from or from? Line 2 and line 3.
Yeah. Yeah, as I had mentioned, I think I don't know. I normally confuse this. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Yeah, so we can call these notify admin new post, or for lack of a better maybe, but I think it kind of explains what the function does. It notifies admin on a new post. But feel free to, if you find that there's a better name we can use, because I know there's mean, I believe following the standard practices, of course, of naming functions and naming, variables and all that, which are also important. So in the function normally takes the sender, and you remember we had talked about the signal being an instance of the signal class. So we are adding the instance, and then in this case we are also going to add a variable here, which we'll call an argument, and then we can basically you can add more arguments. So if in this case you want to add more, you can just set your keyword arguments there, so that in your function you can add whatever you may want to add. Sorry, this one, can remove it. Yeah. So now I'll just write a simple if function. So just rename this. So we have in if the created is true, and we have also the instance. So this instance normally has different I won't say methods. It has different attributes, as we are going to see. Let me just add it. So created dot. I don't know how somebody adds, because it has a number of things. So one of them is status. So since we have created, basically what we have done is that we have taken our blog post, and this instance, it is an instance of our model. So let's go and look at our model and see the different things that it has. So in this case, when I have published this blog post, there's this there's a status. One of the things is that there's a status, and this status normally takes two. It has two choices that you can select from. So we have the draft. We are going to see this when I log into the blog post. When I log into the front end and try and create a blog post. So we have the status choices. Where is it? Yeah, this is the status choice. So we have published and draft. So in this case, when I go back to my signal, so I'm going to use a status because when I create a new post, okay, it can either be in draft or in published mode, but in this case, I just want to set it as whenever somebody publishes onto the live website. So this status is a text, or is a string. Sorry, it is a string, and this is a string, and this is its reference. So I'm just going to copy these and use it here. Yeah, and then what if the blog post has been created? This should be instance, and the instance of that blog post is published. So in this case, let's first of all just do a print function. Maybe we can use. Somebody has raised a hand. Yes.
Yes. So I am about to ask a silly question. So I've understood we have the sender, which is the blog post, and instance, which is the instance of the blog model. Created. Yeah, I'm a bit lost on the created argument.
Oh, okay. So in this case, when I create the blog post, actually this Yeah, this one, these have just created it. It's just a standalone variable.
Okay.
I think we can, yeah. Actually, we can even, sorry, we can even do this one. We can just do away with it. So we can leave this to be, if instance. But anyway, what I mean is that you can create different variables. I mean, you can create different arguments, not variables, arguments inside here, depending on what you want to achieve. So in this case, I had just added that created.
All right.
But thanks for
Thank
your
you.
question, because I don't think it has any. I mean, I don't think it has relevance in this case. So I don't know what method. I mean, what you prefer to use, but I normally use the F strings. So maybe I can just say a new post has been created or has been published. And I think we can borrow something from these. Maybe I can say and titled, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we have titled. So how do I get the title? We can use, since I'm using the Python F strings, I can be able to get the instance. Remember, the instance is a blog post. So I can be able to get the blog post, something like title, or something else category. Yeah, but in this case, let's just use the title. So it will be instance dot title. Great. Then I save. Yeah, I think this is pretty much it on this. And then now the next step. This is the first step: creating your signal, or what you call the signal handler in the app. Yeah, it's this one here. The second step will be connecting the signal to the application. So you notice that even the logs here are not refreshing. The way normally when you edit some file in Django, you'll notice that the logs or the server is auto restarts. So we have the next step, which is connected to, how do we connect it to the application? So we will go to the apps.py file. This is where the apps.py file comes in handy. And we will add a ready function and this just, it basically imports our signal. So I'll need to add it into the application configuration. Yeah. So think of this as connecting the signal to the app, so that when you start like this project or when you start the application, it is aware of a signal that is kind of, these are like the kids I was saying, those kids are just keenly waiting for the cake. Yeah, in the illustration that I had given earlier. So as a standard practice, you normally use the ready function. So in this case, I will import this application is website. So we'll call it website dot signals. Yeah, and you'll notice, you can notice something is happening here below. You can see now the app is refreshing or it's restarting because we have edited the files that are to there. So the other thing will be signal. Yeah, I think I've already implemented the first, which is saving. Let's see what happens now when I create the blog post. So I'm just going to sign up because I cannot create a blog post if you have not signed up. So in this case, I'm going to use, just trying to think, maybe Jkaris codes, or you just use some namespace here, tech, email.com. I'll just use some password here and the same password confirmation below. Yeah, so whenever you sign up, it kind of logs you in automatically. And now you'll notice that you remember, let me just log out. I'll still log in as Space here Tech. So if you are logged out, you can only see the articles. You can only see the articles, but you cannot do, I think you can also interact with the others, kind of like an API for the blog posts. And then you can only view this, you cannot you cannot create a blog post. That's how this application is set up. So let's log in. I had created space tech at email.com, and then I can just add the password. Sign in. Yeah, so I've signed in. Let's go to the navigation bar. You'll see now you can create a new article. So let me just reduce this. I want us to see if we will be able to print that. We have created this print function in the signals.py. That is what we have done first, and then we have added it in the apps.py to make it in the application. And then I don't know if I'm forgetting a step. Anyway, let's first create this. I'll just add a blog post here. I'll just use a lorem ipsum, the proverbial lorem ipsum that we are all used to. For the body, and by the way, I think I'm using, there's a library called Django CK editor. If you're interested, that is why this text has this thing. So I'm going to fetch, let me just go to the lorem ipsum generator. Just copy something here just to fill in our body. And then for the category, remember the category is preloaded. So for the status, I have to set it as published, so that, remember, in our signal, we were saying that only the published posts are the ones that are going to kind of print a notification. So I'll set this to published, and then I'll just click a submit. Wow, it has moved so fast. Yeah, but I think you can see something here in the logs. That's why I wanted to. It can easily, you can easily pass it. So you'll see that we have a new blog has been published and titled Lorem Ipsum 2. So this is one implementation of the signals. So to summarize this, we have first of all created a signals.py file, which contains our signal, or this is normally what you call the signal handler. And then we have added our logic. We have imported the signals from Django models. And then we have the dispatch, from which we have imported the receiver. And then we have of course, imported our blog post. And then we have created a post save. So this post saved is triggered when you have saved after saving. So that's why it's called the post save. And then it basically prints the message here. And I think this can be extended to even sending of the email. I mean, since I think I have already implemented that somewhere in this code, I'm going to check it out. So at this point, I don't know if let's create a second blog post just to be certain. create an article. So maybe I can say space, tech, article. Then I can just add something here, space, tech is awesome. Can add community is awesome. Great. And then I think this one is pretty much enough. And then I can add the category. Then in this case, I can add published. Yeah, so before I submit, let me just show all these logs. Don't know, clear. Yeah, let's just clear the logs because I want us to see this title that's going to be printed. So you can see the first line. It's a new post has been published and titled Space Here Tech article. So that is that is one implementation of the signal. So this is the post save. And then I don't know if at this point anyone has a question. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand. So that is one use case, post save. So let's see if we can be able to implement something now when we want to delete. So we have the post save. So let's say we want to delete some of these posts. I think it would be good to have maybe the admin as well, or somebody notified that some post has been deleted, or something of the sort, or even set to draft. You can pretty much implement it however you want. So in this case, I'm going to import what you call delete first, and then I'm going to also implement this function. In case we have our decorator, and then we were going to have the post delete that I have imported up there. We need to add, I don't know. And then we have our sender. So remember, these are the key things that you need to, the sender and the action, or the signal rather. So we have the blog post. And then we are going to, let me just copy this instead of typing the whole thing. So we have, you notify the admin, maybe when you delete or post, maybe I can call it post deleted. And then you can add. So yes, somebody has a question. Yes, Steven.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
It's not a question. Jimmy.
Yes.
JR is asking me if you can let me. Been trying like 20 minutes to get in the session.
I think I've seen JR being let in. Let me see.
Thanks, Steven.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay, can everyone see the screen? So the shared screen. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so in this case, remember we have added post delete, and post save. So Django models have, if you have worked with the Django models to some extent, you know that they have save, they have the delete function, or the save function, or something of the sort. So that's why in this case, I'm not going to kind of like check the instance. I'm just going to write the logic for what happens. So in this case, I can just print, for example, use this print function and print something. because this post delete tells, and the model, it tells Django that this should be run when the delete method or the delete action has been run into the this blog post. Yeah, and I believe if you have worked with query sets, Django query sets, you understand that you've tried to delete and save the save and the delete methods, which are kind of easy to, I mean, they have kind of been implemented. So in this case, I'll just say blog post, maybe titled. Remember, I'm using the instance titled curly braces instance dot title has been deleted, and then I close the closing brackets. There's an issue here. Oh, yeah, great. Then I save. Yeah, it has refreshed. I'm going to clear this. Let me now go to my website. See the posts that I have created, articles. And then I'm not sure if I can delete. Yeah, I cannot, as I was telling you, see these ones have already been pre-created by somebody else. So I cannot, this misses a delete button here. Yeah, so all that logic is somewhere in the code, in the views, I believe. So I can only delete the articles or the blog posts that I have created as this current user. So I'm going to click on delete post. Let me clear this first because I want us to see that it prints that line. Oh, submit. Yeah, here it is. Blog post title Spacia Tech article has been deleted. Let me also see if I can move this second one. Before I click submit, let me just clear so that you can see the log clearly. Yeah, it's the first line. So we have blog post titled Lorem Ipsum has been deleted. Yeah, so I think these are the, let me just check something from the Django docs on Signal. Yeah, so we have a bunch of other items, request finished. Yeah, this pre-save, before saving, post save. So I think these are the simple implementations that we can do with the pre-save and the post-save. And now we have, I think I wanted to show you that you can also be able to send an email whenever you also perform these. Let me just extend this a little bit instead of just printing, because I mean, it's still within the domain of Django. So in my settings.py file, I don't know if it's in the base settings or local settings. I think it's in the local settings. I have added this line, email backend. So basically what happens is that it sends an email when a certain action has been performed. So in this case, I think I had added the email for the contract form for the reason of the contract form. Let me just try something here because I want to see if we can be able to add the mail sending logic in the signals file. It's tech@email.com. Hi. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me clear the logs so that indeed we can see if it's prints. Yep, it prints an email. Yeah, here's the email. So let's see if we can add these sending of the email into the, and I don't know if maybe I can copy that code, but if somebody has an idea of, I know we can import something called send mail, but I've forgotten a little bit. Maybe if somebody has that in their minds right at the moment, I would appreciate. So in this case, I want to send an email if you create a blog post.
Joseph,
Yes.
the send mail can fetch it from django.co.mail, then import send mail.
Oh, okay. So it's Django.
From django.co.
Django.core.
Mail import send mail.
Oh, okay. Is it an underscore send mail? I believe it's something like this.
Supposed to be django.co.mail, then import send mail.
Okay, thank you.
That. Yeah, welcome.
So I think this mail, let me just copy because I think I had used it somewhere. View detail contract form. I'm using it here. Actually, it is here, the send mail. So anyway, let me just copy this line. I'll explain what it does. So yeah, I mean, printing is fine, but so that I was feeling that we can do something more, because this is what you'll find somewhere out there if you probably get a job or you're hired to implement signals somewhere in a real world environment. You're not just going to print some text. So I think subject for these ones, I think I can just add. Actually, I can borrow the instance. Remember, we have instance. Dot title. For the message, probably we can add some message here. Post titled instance dot title has been created. So from email, for this one, I think we can just add, for now, we can just add the, let me just go to the view. Yeah, so just to maybe explain, so the send mail function normally has these, requires at least a subject, just pretty much like what you fill into when you're sending somebody an email. We require the subject, and then we require, because you need to send an email from some email. Yeah, even if you're sending it to yourself, you need at least from email, and you also need to send to some destination email. So in this case, I'm using, let me just go to these. I'm using, it has taken me somewhere else. In the settings file, I have default. It should be local. I have default, some variable which is default from email. Now I've actually added it in the, anyway, I won't go deep into this because it's default. Anyway, just know that you need to have a from email. So I can say some user at email.com. And then we have these settings. So you see we have a problem here because it doesn't know what these settings is. So I need to do an import. So whenever you want to import something that is in the settings, you can use this from django.conf. Django.conf import settings. And then we can borrow the settings from this. Yeah, so we have the destination, we have the body, and we have the subject. I'm not sure if this one is okay. Let me just add the F string indicator. Sorry. Oh, somebody. Yes, JR.
Yeah. Joseph, maybe someone might ask, where is your email configuration? Where is it? Where is it stored?
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I know I've jumbled through different files, but let me just close these files. So in this case, I have my email settings in the Django settings. So these settings, they are a bit advanced because what I've done is I've separated. This is like the settings.py file, all these three. But you have the basic or the base settings. I'm not sure if this one has any email. Let me just search. Email. No, these ones have to do with authentication. Yeah, but any email settings are in the Django settings. In probably your case, if you've created a new project, it will be. Actually, it's no. Sorry, I'm wrong on that. It is normally not there. You need to add Django default settings, and because of that question, let me just open something here. Django email SMTP.
And the port and the SMTP number.
Yeah, so when you're sending email in Django, one of us had told us that you are importing the send mail from this. So yeah, this is the function. This is how it looks like. But you need to get the email configuration. I'm not sure if they have talked about it here. No, it's not here. It should be in SMTP. Yeah, sending mail. Default. Yeah. So if you look at this, let me zoom into this a little bit here. So if you look at this send mail, we have the from email, it is a string. Actually, subject message, it is a string. If none, and you're trying to send an email using that send mail, Django will look for this default from email. So by default, it is not there in the settings.py file, but you have to add it. So if you do not add it, then it is going to throw some error, although you can still, like throw the error silently. However, it is going to throw this SMTP exception if it does not get this value. So if you have from email and you have not added any value, Django by default will look for this value from the settings. And if it is there, it's going to use it. So in my case, it is there. Let me look for it and show you. It should be in the local.py. Allowed install middleware. Yeah, this email backend. So you cannot send an email from Django if you do not have this setting. So in my case, I have used Django supports. I think I've come across two. I don't know if there's a third one. I may have to check that, but I know there is email backend and what you call the SMTP backend. So this is, you normally use this console.email backend when you just want to print like what we are doing here. But if you're using like, you want to use Google or some other email provider, email service provider, then you'll need to use SMTP. And that means you'll have to add some password, user or something like that, like Google, if you're using Google SMTP. Yeah. So this is where my setting is to answer your question. Great.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why you're seeing these settings default from email. So it is picking. I'm still looking for that default from email because I really wanted to show you that you can create your own default. Default autofield. 1, 2. Anyway, let's see what will happen because I have these settings default from email. And then we have this is a string, as you have seen from the documentation. This should also be a string. All these are actually strings. You may ask, by the way, why am I using this? You know, this is a list. So this means you can be able to send to many. You can have an array of or a list of emails. In this case, you can add a comma and add some other emails. You know, like the way you normally send to many in when you're sending an email. So let me just clear these logs so that we can see if there is an error. And I'm saving my files. Save all. Yeah, we do not have a problem. And so in this case, when you save the blog post as published, then it's going to send an email. So let's see if this actually works. So I'm going to open my application. I need to minimize this, and then I can open I have this code on there for us just to see the logs. Great, so I can add Django user at email.com. Oh, sorry, I've added the email on the name. Say Django user, subject, Django tutorial. Django is awesome. Okay, let's see what happens if it actually sends an email. Yeah, so this on the front end, it has confirmed that it has able to send an email, and then you can see. So this is the work of the signal. So this is a simple implementation, at least, of how you can use signals by also sending or triggering and send email. Let's say, for example, somebody has even logged in. And actually, I don't know if there's time we can try and implement that. So this is one of the methods. I mean, this is one of the things that you can. Oh, sorry. Actually, we have not done what you're supposed to do. I've sent an email from the contact form. We need to create a blog post. Is anyone lost? You guys are silent.
I'm not really lost.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Sorry, there was an echo. I'm saying we're not really lost. I personally am following very well. So if anyone has a question, this would be a good time.
Okay.
so that we don't leave anyone behind.
Okay.
Because I
Great.
love that even the raw implementation didn't even throw an error. We're just cruising.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So just to maybe highlight these, I've just changed. You remember this notification, we were printing it. So now we want to see if we can be able to send an email when you just publish a blog post. So in this case, I'm going to add the blog post. I'm trying to think of a title. Somebody give me a title, please.
Hello world.
Okay. Our usual entry point. Hello world. Okay, let me just start it here in Swahili. Habari dunia. Right. Yeah. So let's see. I need to set this as published, general, and published, and then I can just click on just like this. Submit. Yes, actually it has worked. So you can see this is the email. Hello world from this user that we have added there to, I think by default Django uses this because I have not set this anywhere, the default .email. And since this is a list, why don't we just see if we can add some email here? Maybe call it speciatech@email.com. Save. Here. Let's create another blog post and we see. Actually, let me just continue adding some little more. Community.
Jkaris, I actually wanted to give you an actual email address. Ama you guys will spam me.
Oh, even if you give me an email address, I think it will not send because we are doing it in a local environment. Or is it okay? Or
all right, okay.
No.
It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I hope because we could have invested, we could probably have deployed these. Anyway, it's deployment ready, but that would be scope and it could also take some time. Something has been triggered from the database. Let me just send an email, create the blog post articles. Sorry, let me just create new article. We switch this Habari Dunia. I think I can also add some picture just to make things a little bit interesting. I don't know. Let me get an image from Space Tech. Nowadays, because of copyrights, this is just for demo purposes. Yeah, let me just provide image, copy image address, then paste it here. Maybe I can add another text. Space tech. I can reduce this to 200, 250, something of the sort. Yeah, it's better. Maybe the border 1, 3, 1. Alignment left. Okay. Where has the text gone? The text has somehow disappeared. Yeah, so maybe some. And then I can also add something here extra, maybe a table, an empty table. 1, 2, 3. What else can I add? Horizontal line, yeah. Okay, I think that's fine. Category, general, published. Clear this. Maybe block title has been created. Where is the body? I think this is a body. I'm sure it's going to show some weird stuff because of the image. Let me just add body, and then I add instance dot body. Reloading. Let me clear. Let me submit. So you'll see this is a body. That's why I've added. Sorry, that's why I've added some things, some picture and something in table. So you see, this is the email. We have the subject. Where is the subject? Yeah, here, Habari Dunia. And then we have the blog post titled Habari Dunia has been created, and then body. So the body is the whole, you know, the whole thing that, and you can see the image here with the alt and the source attribute and other things like style and all that, height, width, and then the table. Yeah, so I think this is at least so that is now the second thing you can do with signals. There's something else you can extend this to creating profiles. You can extend this to, I think, also the user login and logout. I don't know if we still, do we have enough time to do that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Okay then. I don't know. Let me see if I had implemented this. So for this one, I'm just going to clear this because I remember I have two projects. So let me shut down these. And before I shut down, let me see git status. I think I can push these on that repository. I had shared the code on the chat. Maybe you get to check it out, git add. But in your case, I think it's advisable, I mean, to add like a branch for functionalities like this one. So in my case, I did not, just demonstrating git status. Yeah, so git commit. Just hold on. Oh, notes. Blog posts. Yeah, you should also be keen on the messages that you write on the git commit. I've just written this one. I'm just thinking from the top of my head. Yeah. So I'll kill this project. So I'll just do a make stop make. So these are all the commands that are in the make file. So you can run any of them. But for you to do this, you need dock computer. Shut down development. Yeah, so let me switch quickly to the next, to the second. Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes, Joseph, you're still here.
Oh, I don't know, I think you lost me.
You went silent for some seconds, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's my internet. Sorry about that. So let me quickly start this project. This is a second project. Just to, I'll brush through quickly on these. Yeah, it's similar to the previous project, and I had shared the code somewhere in the meeting. But I mean, if you still do not have the link, you can check it. You can ask the hosts. I'm ready to share. It's on a public repository. So this is a personal portfolio website, which you can probably implement yours. You can clone the project. You can edit it and change whatever you may want to change. So I'll just confirm quickly using this command if there are, so I do not have reports that are running. So I'll just start this project, make run server dev. So it's pretty much similar to the previous project, but now this one has a kind of like a user management. One did not have, okay, it had users, but it was empty. This one has more to it, as we are going to see. So let me open this link.
Okay, when you dropped off, you stopped presenting, so we technically are not seeing your screen.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thank you for that. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. So this is what this project. It's a personal portfolio website. It's pretty much using the same cases or the same logic, but now it has more to it. The sense that it has the user management aspect, and it has what you call. Remember, I talked about these Django fixtures. If you have time, you can brush through the documentation and read through Django fixtures and how they work. But they're quite important when you're like running, or when your project becomes bigger, or when you're doing demonstrations. You can just auto-populate data without a lot of a hassle. So I'll just add the URL here. So this is how the project looks like. Let's see what will happen. Yeah, I expected this. So I have not run migrations. I have just run the manage.py. Yeah, so this is what you're getting, because there's no database. I mean, the table is trying to look for this table and cannot get it. So I'm just quickly going to run the migrations. Here, make, oh no, it should make migrate development. I don't know why it's okay. It's working. Yeah, so you'll see this error will disappear. So you can see it's pretty much more or less the same as the previous. Yeah, but you can customize it to your own liking. So let me clear this. I'm going to run make load. I have load user data. So it will populate, it will add some data. And I think you can also use this with, there's a library called Faker. I'm sure some of you probably have come across. You can create a lot of big data, like 1 million records of 100,000 records from that library and populate it in that database. It comes quite in handy when you're trying to probably do some load testing and all that. Website data. So this only populates the blog posts. As you can see, it has added 29 different objects. So you'll notice some changes here. Remember, the blog post was empty. Now you can see it has a bunch of posts. But my major interest is in what happens when you register. So this one has a more kind of an aspect towards registration. Let me just switch to it. Yeah, so I'll add some user here. Space here, check email.com space, yeah, check. I'll cut these and add it here. Just call it facial check as a user. Yeah, you have additional things here. You can set the date of birth. Let me just add the password. Then we can create the account. Yeah, so the registration was successful. Let me add the space tech at email.com. Then you can add password here. Yeah, so we have this user. So this user needs to have like they can create their profile. So in this case, I wanted to demonstrate a case in which maybe the user wants to create their own profile. And let me see. So we need to be certain of the models that we are using. Yeah, so in this case, we will need to have like a custom signal. Just trying to think around it. Let me just go to the models. Personal static user account. So this is the app that deals with the user registration. So we have, let me just take you through the code quickly. So this is a user login form. We have the account registration form, and we have the user edit form, and profile edit form and all that. So what we'll do, we'll quickly create a signals.py file here, just like we did in the previous project, signals.py. And just to clear this, I think it's good to have the logs. I'll make print, make logs, interactive in development. Yeah, so we have our signals.py. So I'm pretty much going to do some copy and pasting. So in the first place, we have the Django post. So in this case, it won't be post save. Post. Does somebody know which? I'm trying to think which signal you can use to see if something has been edited or updated. In this case, if a user is able to update their profile. Let me just. So there's something we had talked about, which is the many-to-many, more. This is now on the advanced many-to-many fields. Yeah, so we are going to import. Let me take you back to the presentation. If you recall, here we had pre-save. We have used pre-save and post-save, or rather, we have used post-save and post-delete. I wanted us to probably do this one and see how it will work. The many-to-many, when a many-to-many field is changed. So we are going to import M2M. Yeah, M2M changed. And then we are going to import the dispatch, just like we did on the previous one. And then we are going to add, in our case, we have from.models, import. Well, let me just look at the models. I had not even taken it through the model. So we have the custom user. So in this case, I've extended the custom user model, sorry, for Django. This is also a very important topic, especially if you're going to have a user who has different fields like date of birth, profile picture. These are not provided for by Django. Django provides you with, but it gives you an abstract user who you can extend, which you can extend to whatever. You can add different things. So we have custom user profile. So in this case, I want us to create the profile, and we'll see what will happen. So I'm going to import this profile. So signals from Django import profile. And then we are going to create, remember we need, the next point is to have a receiver. Then I'm just going to copy these details. See the time is not on our side, enter. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy this such that I can be able to amend it. But the process is pretty much the same. Yeah, so I kind of saw that it's good to have, we can do justice if we are able to do more than one implementation. Yeah, so we are not using blog posts. We have profile dot category. Let me no, this is not category. It should be profile dot. In this case, let's say we have I'm looking for a many-to-many field. Unfortunately, we do not have a many-to-many field, so this may not work here. User. Okay. I think for this one, we may have to probably use, yeah, I think we will have to use this signal in the blogs, in the website page. Sorry. So I'll just shift the signals.py to the website. Yep. I'm sure we're going to have issues. Oh yeah, we don't want this. We have .models. So now, because we have shifted, we need to look at our models. So in this case, we have the blog posts or the post. Do we have a many-to-many? Yeah, I think this implementation may take some time because we may have to come up with a model that has many-to-many. So I don't know if on this one we can just shelf it, or we can probably do it in maybe in the next session if the one will be there, because we really need a more many-to-many fields. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can organize for another session just so we don't rush things and we can cover everything here.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so let me just go through. Yeah, so what we were trying to do is we were trying to implement a many-to-many field, but as you can see, and I think this one also tells us something. With Django, you have to I normally prefer test-driven development most of the time, because you'll kind of have, we could have thought through of what we need, from this scratch. So we know that we need to implement a many-to-many field. We need to implement, going back to the presentation, we need to implement some views, one that sends a request and, gets a request, or sends a request and receives a request. And also we pretty much could also look at these three. But Django is not limited to this. So I will invite you to look at Django channels and WebSockets. Those are a bit advanced, but signals can be coupled or can be integrated with them to be able to do real-time, to present real-time analytics. Let's say you have some dashboard for like a betting company or something like that, or crypto, some crypto analytics website that, or even a forex website that shows, the changes in coins and changes in currencies and all that in real time. So that's something that can be implemented with Django channels that we are using WebSockets, and then integrate it with something like Django channels. Yeah, so it depends on the context. So I'll just go through to these. I don't know if somebody has a question based on what we have looked at, or any clarification. Otherwise, I conclude my presentation at this point. And finally, I think there's something that I forgot. So when in the best practices, we have separation of concerns. Somebody has a question?
Yeah, Joseph, I have a question.
Please.
Why
Yes.
should a developer maybe prefer signals as compared to Celery when sending email?
Okay, now these I've forgotten. I've worked with Celery, but I've forgotten what it does. Does it queue?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if you're dealing with a large number of receivers, that is one, or if you're dealing with different services, let's say you have a service that logs, or a service that logs information, awaiting asynchronously, awaiting for some input from another service. I don't know if that makes sense, like database or something else. That, I think in that case, you may have to use Celery. Anywhere where you are dealing with a large number of producers, or in this large is not, I cannot define what is large, but if you have a large number of users, let's say you're dealing with 1 million users, who are in this case, the receivers, then you may need to implement something like Celery, or something else. And you'll notice that it's being used in very huge, big Django projects. So in this case, in our context of the signal and receivers, it is a basic unit, in my opinion, of what can be implemented. But as you scale up your application, having a wide user base and all that, then you need to implement Celery. I hope that is from my own maybe view. Yeah, I don't know if somebody else has a better answer to that.
I think JR has even left the meeting. He has dropped to. Yeah, but if you have something to add, kindly unmute. Jimmy?
I have something to add, but before I add it, why am I seeing two of you, Rosalind? Okay. Before I add, someone that I trust is in a better position to in a better position to tell us more about message brokers. Is hiding behind the Speciatech logo. Knock knock. Helen, why Celery? Why not Signals? She will have to talk. Let me see. Okay, she's shy. So I think how both of JR and Jkaris have tried to tell us. I think whenever you're having to like do asynchronous programming, like something has to be waited for. You have to wait for some element of input, or you have to wait for some processing to get done. Then signals won't really get the work done because signals are triggered instantaneously. Okay, okay, if I'm lying, you'll correct me. So most signals are instantaneously dispatched. I think I learned that they're dispatched. So whenever you have large numbers of requests that really have to wait for some response from elsewhere, a process or something else, then a message broker is best suited to be used in that situation. So that's why people prefer to use message brokers, because it's more asynchronous. By the way, I never know the distinction between asynchronous and synchronous. They really confuse me at times. So whenever using a message broker, I think it goes well with asynchronous tasks that have to wait for another task to run to completion. Yeah.
Great. I think that's something I've worked with Celery, but a little bit. I think that's a very interesting topic. It's something that I envision to look at, even maybe in depth. Yeah. I've also heard of things like Apache Airflow and others being thrown around when it comes to message queuing, and RabbitMQ. Yeah.
RabbitMQ. The person who would have given us more in-depth, it's either JR or Helen. And
Somebody has asked which one is a message broker.
which one is the message broker? Paul, are you referring to when we were mentioning Celery?
Yes. Yes, I am.
So okay, so just to put it in context, so you're asking which one between the Signals and Celery?
Yes. Yes. I'm thinking of from the IoT perspective, like MQTT.
MQTT. Okay. Okay. Let me not get to. Without complicating it, I think I think Celery is more of a message broker as compared to what Signals do. That is my basic understanding. Unless, where did the guys go? Where did the battalion go? Let's see.
Yeah. When you're running MQTT, you actually have a message broker running like a server that distributes things.
Yeah, so I think not I think I've actually observed this. Whenever I'm running Celery, there's a third add-on that I can add on to my Celery setup. Oh, what's the name? It's a short name. Why did Helen decide to go silent? Helen really understands what I'm trying to get to. Okay, maybe we'll get to talk on message brokers more, but I know when running Celery just gets to to queue your tasks, and whenever it's the right time, it actually acts on them.
Do you have a link for the website for Celery?
I can share in the. I don't know if it's okay to share in the chat here. I mean, there's a documentation with reference to specifically to Django. I just shared.
Okay. I think Helen had unmuted before. Helen.
Just like Jimmy said, with Celery, it's more of performing asynchronous tasks, but with Signals, it's performing synchronous tasks. Yeah. So it all depends on what you really want to do. If you want to perform asynchronous tasks, you go with Celery. If you want to perform synchronous tasks, you go with Signals. There's also Redis. I can't remember very well what Redis does. Is it also a message broker? I'm not so sure. Redis.
Redis was the name I was looking for. Yeah, that's the short name I was looking for, because Redis can be coupled up with the Celery so that it acts like a database for your piling tasks. That's it acts like a subsidiary database, maybe.
So that's basically it.
Go ahead, Helen.
I'm done.
Okay, thanks.
I wanted to say that Jimmy, I know you've been coding for a minute, but you said asynchronous and synchronous confuses you. So I was hoping we'd get a nice explanation from someone so that we don't increase confusion. So I don't know if Helen, can you explain to us the difference between synchronous and asynchronous tasks? Hello. Okay.
Synchronous and asynchronous.
Yeah. Yes.
It also confuses me, but asynchronous is when you want to like how do I put it? You want to run like many tasks at the same time, but synchronous, one task at a time.
Yeah. That's basically it. Yeah. So if you're a bit confused, I hope you can look it up and then follow up with the technologies that have been mentioned here. I do have a question to Joseph.
Yes.
Do you know of any best practices when you're writing signals? Like generally best practices that I should look out for?
Okay. Maybe what I could say is one of them I mentioned was creating a signal.py file. It needs to be like in its own module. In this case, I mean the signals.py file, for example, within your application. And then you can import it into the application configuration like we did in the apps.py. Why you need to create a signals.py module of that file within your app is because that falls within the separation of concerns, whereby you are like specifically dealing. Like now I wanted to create one that deals with maybe user login or editing of the profile, which falls within the accounts or users app only. And then I maybe have another signals.py file that deals with what you have done in the post save and post delete in the like blog app or articles up. So you see, these are two different signals that are within the app scope. That is one, and they are not in any of those Django provided files, like in maybe forms.py or views.py or models.py. Even if you're dealing with the models, it's good to have that is one best practice I could mention, which falls within the separation of concerns. The second one is maybe using the built-in signals that have been provided by Django for common model events like delete and save. Those are the most common ones. We did not have a chance to look at the custom signals, but for specific needs, I don't know which specific needs I can think of right now, but you may need to define a custom signal that uses inherits the Django signal class, and then you customize or you add like custom logic to it. So those are the three: separation of concerns, using built-in signals like save and post-save and post-delete that have already been provided for by Django instead of implementing yours or reinventing the wheel. And the third one is using custom signals for specific needs that cannot fall within the domain of the 3 or the 4 different use cases that we have explained. Yeah, I think those are the best practices. But if anyone has something else, can probably loop in or can tell us. Yeah, I'm going to share the slides with the Rosalind or somebody who, yeah.
All right. Yes, Helen, go ahead.
There's a point in the presentation where you asked the signal when you're updating something, how to send a signal when you're updating something. Did you figure it out?
Sorry, when I was
there's a point you wanted to send a signal when an update is done.
Yeah. That is the last bit which I wanted to do, but in this case, it is the point at which you are. Let me just. These are the three. Where is it? This is the one that I wanted to implement. M2M change when you're changing a many to many field. But actually, now, sorry. Yes.
When we started, there was that created. Was it is it a variable? There was that created that we were passing when you're writing a signal, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to send a signal when something is created, you use the if created. If you want to send a signal on update, you use the else statement. That is, yeah, the else statement if it's not created. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, but and I think I don't know if it is Rosalind. Somebody asked about it, and I think I removed it, but it is. I think it is quite. Yeah, it is important. It has to be there.
Guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm a bit confused. What do you mean the else?
Let me open the code, and I know what I understand what. How is it? Let me just open the project, my demo website. So there is these signals. You remember there's and I don't know who asked. I think it's you, Rosalind, whereby you asked why I have created somewhere here. Like this one is delete, but this one I had added created, and then you asked why I removed it. Yeah. So there is if created, basically checks whether a model or a record or it has been created. So if a new record has been created, then the if created will result to true. That's why I had if created here. And then I had added and. a logical and. So this if created checks if there's a new record that has actually been created. And I think it is important actually in this case, because if you only have this, it could be ambiguous in a way because we have different records which are published, or some could be in draft and then you switch them to published. So that is the point. So this one is created. It's triggered when you create a record, a new record. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Or
Yeah, it does. I wanted to understand the implementation for now if you update the model.
If you update, I will lie to you if I don't know if we use the updated or.
For updating, you see the way you have the if statement for created. So if you want like maybe a different signal for updating, you'll have to add like an else statement. If you want the same signal same signal, then you won't need to add the if created. So maybe you want to send an email. This blog was updated. You'll just add an else statement below with a different subject or body.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think sure. I think that is pretty much it. I can see we have these M2M change. This is what I was actually wanted to look at it. So there's something called action. Maybe we have not looked at it, but we could have added it if we had the many-to-many field. It is quite, this many-to-many is quite interesting because you can add a bunch of actions. And this action you can equate it to pre-add, post-add, pre-remove, clear, reverse. There's even reverse, which indicates, whatever, something like a forward or reverse relation has to do with the URL. Yeah. We even have one for primary key. We are setting a primary key. Yeah. So I think it's quite it's quite a topic worth looking at in depth.
Yes. Okay. Any other question before we proceed to call it a night? JR, you have just joined. You left us when people were answering your question.
Sorry guys, my network misbehaved. Yeah, thanks for that, Joseph. I have really enjoyed the session.
Can you guys hear JR?
Sorry?
Can you guys hear JR?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Last question I have is when you were, I don't know where you were, but I saw you had the featured blog implementation. I don't know which repo that was. I'd like to take a look at how you've implemented it.
Oh, the repository.
Yeah. Was it the one with the blog?
I had actually, that is that's personal website. I think I had shared the two links in the chat. I can reshare them, just reshare them. I can also reshare them with you, with Rosalind, if need be.
Okay.
Yeah. Together with the presentation. So it's on a public repository on GitHub. It was one of my startup projects. Yeah.
Wait, guys, can you hear each other? I can't hear Joseph.
I think the problem is from your side, Roslyn.
The problem is
your mic.
I'm sorry.
You're having two devices.
I'm hearing you like you're 2 rooms away. Let me come back.
She's having 2 devices.
Mute
one
one
device.
Oh, Okay. I am out.
Madam Gadgets, we are sorry. All right, anyway.
Madam, guys, I'm going through a lot. I had to join using my phone. So thank you so much for the presentation, Joseph. I have learned a lot. We really appreciate the details and the time you took to prepare it. Yeah, so I think we can just say our good night. I don't know if we need another session. Joseph, do you need another session? Do you need to maybe clarify something in another session?
It depends on the audience, but I'm okay. I think unless
All right.
maybe
I think
something else to be. Yeah.
we can have a yes, JR.
Kindly, can I suggest that Joseph books a session for just to take us through GIS? Kindly, maybe another day or another time. Kindly, Joseph,
Yes,
please.
I totally agree.
Joseph, please.
Yeah, like we were
Okay.
talking about JS. We were
Repo.
speaking.
Also, if you have a public repo, maybe you'd like us to contribute about GIS, you can just tell us. We're looking forward to contribute and learning more.
Okay, yeah, I have a bunch of repositories, and I think we can have a session on specifically, since this is, I know it's Django, we can talk about Django and its implementation. And I also have a YouTube channel where I've talked about Django, a whole playlist, and another playlist for Django. Actually, the one that I personal blog and my demo website, the two projects that I've shared here. The way I've implemented them. I've done like 33 videos, which are on YouTube. Yeah. So I think it's okay. We can have a session on GIS, but I hope it's not the next one. I think we can, but you can discuss with Rosalind, because I'm pretty much also very occupied with a bunch of projects and all that. But I can definitely create another. I'd be happy to present that. Yeah.
All right. Samuel, you have raised your hand. First, I'd also recommend you to really check out the YouTube channel. I am right there. I am looking at the videos, and Joseph, get a life,
Yes.
okay? This is a lot, and they are nice. These are such nice videos. Yeah, I know I'm gonna, especially for the deployment part, I am really struggling with that. So yeah, Samuel, you can go ahead.
Okay. I have a question for Joseph. So I think this is one of the first times I've ever been in like a meeting where I've come across two separate JS devs. And here's the thing I want to know, like the way Kenya is, like there aren't many JS devs. Like for example, even if you find the ones who build publicly, they're not mainly focused on the Kenyan market. So finding like information and resources is kind of a challenge. Like I have a friend who has been, she works in one of these farms, but she was saying the assistance is just bad. And the question was like, since the way JS is, I've been looking at certain frameworks and libraries like Mapbox, and there have been like there's a certain notion that the way JS libraries have been built, it's like the way Django interacts with MongoDB. It's basically what I'm saying is most of the libraries are just compatible with JavaScript. Is that true? And also compared with Django, is Django way behind?
There's something that you have mentioned. You have said most are compatible with like the Mapbox.
JavaScript.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what is happening? I think there are quite a number of questions from what you asked. One is the GIS industry in Kenya is there. It's growing. It's still not big, but you see now it's because many people, or most of the people, end up in survey, in the traditional surveying, engineering surveying. Some of those are even better paying than just GIS, and some of course run away from GIS because it's from experience. I mean, I've seen it because you see now the current GIS with technology, you have to learn a bit of things like coding and all that. So you see that not everybody likes coding. Some people find coding hard. They don't have any interest and all that. So somebody just probably decides to take another different path. That is one. And that is why GIS seems like it is not there, but it is. There's quite a bunch of people who are doing a lot of stuff, but it does not like come out, or it does not reach to the it does not reach to the intended audience or intended clientele or whatever, however you can look at it, because not many people understand what is GIS. If you go even like in a matatu or somewhere like to the Mama Mboga, you tell them about GIS. GIS, at least a map, they know what a map is, but you tell them there's something called GIS. That's a totally different subject. That is one. Specifically on the libraries that you're talking about, like Mapbox, there's another one called MapLibre. What is happening is that Django is, I think Django is what you call a mature library or a mature framework, a mature Python framework, because it has been there for quite a long time. And a mature framework is like the way I can look at, for lack of a better, and don't get me wrong, I know we are Djangoistas. You see, like you have your maybe Shosh or your Pops or somebody, they are old. Maybe they are not old, but they are mature. They are probably in their 50s. So Django has been there. I don't know how many years right now. Is it 15 or 20? I don't know, somewhere between. But now you see there is coming, but Django has lived the test of times. That is the point, because something like Instagram runs on Django. The NASA website, the Aeronautics Space Station, they're using Django. Mozilla, I believe also Mozilla. Instagram, I like talking about Instagram because Instagram, I don't know if they have switched the architecture, but it is, you can imagine how many people on Instagram, how many people are uploading media files, how many people are doing reels and all these other things. So Django has stood the test of times, but now the challenge is, from my experience, you have to separate the front end, but this is my own experience and my own opinion, whereby you need to leave front end to the front end and you need to leave back end to the back end. So us as Django developers, some of us have tried to stick to, templates. You see, you cannot compare templates of Django, which uses, I think, Ginger under the hood, with something like JSX for React. Because in terms of like, you can't use Django for user experience. That's my point. You can still use it, yes, but there's a lot of template engine, template configuration, which things like React do not have. It's JavaScript, so JavaScript is for the web anyways. So coming up with applications like JSX and other maybe templates, I don't know which they use. JSX is the best, and TSX for TypeScript. You see, these are things that kind of marry well with the user interface, with the UI components, which Django does not. Even Django, in my opinion, with HTMX, Django is very opinionated. So even Django developers are opinionated, and some of you who are here can admit that, I know. So you'll probably go and use HTMX or stick to your jQuery, stick to your whatever it is, Ginger template, but I think the industry is changing. Django is still there. It's not going anywhere. Just like people said PHP will disappear, but I'm seeing PHP still there. Somehow it's still there. So Django is still there, but it is mature. What I'm saying it is it's already a mature library, and there are these other things that are coming up. The React has been there for quite some time. The Next.js, So what JavaScript has done is that it's doing, if you have worked with SvelteKit, it is both front-end and back-end. It is Svelte and SvelteKit, which is a full stack framework. Vue and I think Vue, is it Vuex or something? So you see now, if I'm a beginner today, if you give me SvelteKit and you give me Django, it depends on the context, but I'll probably leave Django because I'll have to learn Django and React, Django and Vue, Django and something else. And you see now this is Python and JavaScript. So that is quite a load in terms of learning and mastering both. But if I have one JavaScript thing, I only need to learn Node.js and React, or React and Next.js, Svelte and SvelteKit. Then I'll probably choose Svelte and SvelteKit. That's just to answer you in that long. And sorry to take your time. I know time is running, but that is kind of what I look at. Yeah. And that's why most libraries for mapping are taking that turn towards JavaScript. But Django is not going anywhere. Yeah, Django is the heavy, if you are building a e-citizen, you'll probably use Django. And by the way, the current e-citizen is being built on Elixir, which is fault tolerant. So I also believe Django to some extent is fault tolerant. It can be used to run a whole e-citizen or a whole whatever. Yeah.
Okay. You've answered my question. The reason why I was concerned was because I also came up across the same issues when you're saying like you have to learn like another front-end framework with Django, or like the case with MongoDB. I decided to check out like why it never meshes well with Django. It was also mentioned before, but here I decided to dig deeply, and I came to the realization that some of these libraries, like they have to be made for Django, and sometimes it's just one person maintaining it. So I wanted to see like if like with Django, if the specific libraries are actually maintained or they're up to date, or the option would be just better off to just stick with JavaScript. That was just what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, in very many words, I've just been told I should have started with JavaScript and not Django. Every time I think about React, I'm stressed. Not gonna lie. So I've sent a link in the chat. It's to the Django Note Space README. Or they have this program where people are trained to be Django maintainers. Like I didn't actually understand that for you to use this framework, so many people are maintaining it, and the reason we keep using it is because people are maintaining it. And it got me wondering, if today people stopped maintaining Django, does that mean I have to learn a whole other framework? And I said, I am going to just try as much as possible to also get into the program and continue maintaining Django. So if you want, or if you want to look at, just explore it and take a look at it, it's in the chat. Yeah, you find a whole other community there. So I think we can call it a night unless someone else has something to say. Okay. Jimmy.
next?
For you to
any
judge,
questions?
just
Who's next?
Oh,
Who's
yeah,
coming
sorry.
next? Yeah.
Sorry, Jaya.
Who's coming next?
Well, it is you and I. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's next week. We're gonna do sessions. Yeah. So yeah, that's it from Jimmy. You're